Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome back to Play On. My name is Candace Barrett.
I'm Rob Mackay.
And
that's not Piercy.
And that's it. Piercy is unwell today, but that is totally fine. Me and Rob can crack on.
He needs to bring a note.
Oh, yeah, sick note.
Yeah, needs a sick note. Absolutely. Want to see a sick note. And his little brother or sister can't have written it, or his mate. It's got to have good spelling, and the signature has to be sort of completely illegible to have any credibility. So
good point. I wanted to chat about any rugby news that we've done. I went to a charity tens tournament in Orange last week. Luckily, it wasn't as cold as it was for you,
yeah.
Rob.
My goodness.
Yeah, I actually got a bit of a tan in Orange, which is surprising. But no, it was a good charity event. It was more of a social side of things, mix of country and Sydney teams. Yeah, all volunteer. Really good day. And yeah, I did the women's final, which was really fun.
Hey, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Who was in it?
So it was, I can't remember if it's sort of a country team. They had a weird name. And then Goosey Sports, which is a mix of another sort of one where it's the first time they've done a women's team where they get you have to be invited to it. And so someone selects people.
Yeah, nice.
And that team won because they very much had selected all the best players from each Central West.
Yep. Yeah,
team.
Nice. So you're playing at the Emus?
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. No snow?
No snow.
Very good.
There's a bit of kerfuffle that happened in the men's final, which I then gave the organizers feedback that we should probably have assistant ARs for finals matches because
proper ARs, you mean,
yeah,
as opposed to a dude with a flag, a ciggy, a beer, and a pie.
Yeah. So just because there was things happening after the ruck phase and it was getting a bit punchy and everything, so a bit heated.
Was there prize money per chance?
I think because it was a charity event, there's no prize money.
Just pride.
Everything was donated, yeah.
Okay.
And you get a nice pretty plate and trophy and everything.
Well, see, that's what it's like. You know, you up the level, there's a trophy on the line and everyone gets a little bit serious all of a sudden, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
Well,
anyway.
That sounds like a good event. I'm glad it was warmer for you than it was for me because I was in Orange this week for work, and I've got to say, when you wake up and it feels like -5 in November.
That is awful.
It's fair to say I underpacked. I said to the hotel staff, someone has stolen summer. And it was even funnier because I was actually staying on Summer Street and there was no sign of it. We actually had a frost. So
that's insane.
Yes, it was fresh, shall we say?
Fresh. Guess it woke you up faster.
Yeah, I was well awake. But no rugby on field for me this week, but a hell of a lot happening off field because it's AGM season. So
yes, we have AGM today.
Yeah, AGM is imminent. And it's also that time of year when a lot happens.
Hang Loose. Is it a band?
No. So Hang Loose.
What is that?
So that is Ned Kelly. Ned Kelly. So he's a cultural.
This is where Piercy comes in with a really funny comment. I'm just like, who?
So Ned Kelly's Australia's most famous bushranger, and the 11th of November is a key date in Australian history for a few things. It's Armistice Day, also known as Remembrance
Day. Yeah.
World War I. That's global, but it's writ large here too because it was the first major war that we went to as a nation, and we lost a lot of people. Secondly, it's the date that our Prime Minister was dismissed, and that was 50 years ago. That's a big moment in Australian politics. And it was also the day that Ned Kelly was executed in Melbourne in 1880. So, and his final words were, not hang loose, but such is life. So such is life is part of the vernacular of Australian commentary. So if you see that round, that's a Ned Kelly reference.
Oh, okay.
So there you go. So this week I'm wearing my Ned Kelly T-shirt, and he's very famous for his armour. There's lots of movies about it. There's a Booker winning prize novel about it, written by Peter Carey. Mick Jagger starred as Ned Kelly in an early 70s movie. So there's all sorts of cultural...
There's the whole thing about it.
Touch points. Yep, absolutely. There's even a family connection. So we've got a family member who's involved in the siege of Glenrowan. So
it's rooted.
There's a lot happening. Yeah.
Cool.
And that's just my T-shirt.
That's your T-shirt.
But we're here about rugby and match officials, so we might move on now. So, Candace, there's so much to talk about.
There is so much. So, yeah, rugby news. The men's world rankings update.
Oh, my goodness.
I guess because of this past weekend, I'm seeing Argentina going up.
Let's do a snapshot. So I'm not aware of any women's games playing, but it's all on the line for the men at the moment because the World Cup draw is in a few short weeks' time.
Yeah.
And you've got bands. And it's a new tournament structure. We've got 24 teams, so it's expanded. So you've got 4 bands of 6. 6, 7 to 12, 13 to 18, 9 to 24. They're all really important for the draw. There's some quirks around this, and the quirks of the draw itself we'll chat about closer to the time because depending on which band you're in, you could get a harder run than some others in the same band and vice versa. So if you get the right level 2 band, you might be okay, and Australia may be okay if we stay in that spot. Conversely, if you get the wrong level 1, it might be a bit harder. But from my point of view, at the end of the day, you want to give yourself every chance. So you want to be in the top 6.
Yeah.
And it's getting really interesting. So speaking of bands, we've got some groupings. As the rankings stand now, this is leading into the weekend's matches of the 15th and 16th. South Africa and New Zealand are sort of head and shoulders. They've broken away a little bit from the others. Then you've got Ireland, England, and France sort of grouped together. And Ireland and England are really close. They're less than a point apart. You get a little drop down to France because they got because they lost at home to the Box, they've dropped a bit. And then you go to the next one, which is Argentina, and they're sort of a bit isolated there, but they're in 6th. That's a key spot for them.
Yeah.
And then 7, 8, 9, they're all within basically half a rankings point of each other, and that's Australia, Scotland, and Fiji. So that's really squeaky bum tight. Then you drop down another level, and Italy's a bit like Argentina. They're sort of isolated in 10th. And then you've got Georgia, Wales, and Japan all within roughly a point of each other.
Yeah.
And that's around the cusp of band 2, band 3. So Georgia's 11, Wales is 12, and Japan is 13. And Wales and Japan are 0.32 of a point separating them. So the matches in the following weeks are going to be absolutely critical. And we've got some doozies. So South Africa, they're out there. That's not a big deal. Although if they lose and the All Blacks win, that'll flip around.
Okay, interesting.
I mean, if Australia can move into the top 6 this week, but it's that simple. But got to beat Ireland by more than 15, and Argentina have to lose to Scotland.
Okay.
Wouldn't you?
To be honest,
possible.
We're going to get to it in the main segment about that Scotland versus New Zealand match. It's very much possible, considering how they performed.
But the problem is, if Scotland also beat Argentina and we lose to the Irish, Scotland will jump us. So, and that's just that part of the draw. So if you go further down the draw, you've got Wales and Georgia duking out. Georgia can't improve their ranking with victory, but they can lose 11th place if Japan beat Wales by more than 15 points. So there's a lot happening.
That's so interesting everyone needs to try to win their game, but also they need to watch all the other games to see what's happening.
Well, that's the thing. Win well, and you control your destiny.
Yeah, exactly.
That's pretty simple. So, Australia can sneak into the top 6, but you got to beat 2 teams above you, Ireland and France, both at home. It's a big ask, and the way we've been playing, it's a bit of a challenge. But who knows? It's a funny old game. So
it is. Well, that's a good little quirks to the rankings, and let's see how it goes this weekend coming. I want to bring up some Rugby World Classic was completed in Bermuda. So that was from November 1st to the 7th. So it's the Rugby World Classic. They get all of sort of I would say the masters and the legends of some of the big countries. So Argentina legends versus South Africa. They'll have players from Canada, the Eagles, so America. So that was congrats to those match officials. I've never been to it considering it's hosted in where I grew up.
Yeah.
It was always the timing of it because it's in November. I was off at school doing something, so it never worked out for me to go visit. But maybe one day we'll see.
It sounds like a jolly for rugby players.
Yeah, and I actually don't even know how the match officials get picked. I wonder if it's people from America probably coming over or Canada because of the proximity.
Yeah,
to the island.
It sounds like a really, really good drinking problem with a rugby club attached to it. So it sounds like great fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
Put on the wish list, Candace. Put on the bucket list.
Bucket list, definitely. And then wanted to check about World Rugby as great content with Nigel Owens lately. So yeah, wanted to see if I can share that as well with everyone on socials, because there's been really good content of ex-players asking him questions about certain matches and everything, which he's done in the past, but this is a bit more formal. He's not sitting in his farmland. He's like sat in a studio.
So he's not milking the cows.
No, he's not.
He's doing the rounds with the pods and having a chat about various things, right?
Yeah, he seems as though he's getting more back onto the scene, to be honest, with that. And then Perth Sevens has been confirmed, which is really exciting. So February 7th to the 8th for next year in 2026 for the next 3 years.
Yep, 3 more
years. Says as well, so get excited for Perth Sevens. And I wanted to highlight, Keith Lewis brought this up on his sort of weekly newsletter, but there's a really good Beyond the Whistle from the Rugby Football League in the UK. So the match officials, they show like the ins and outs of what it goes through as a professional. And it's actually filmed and done completely different from, I guess, the other whistleblower one that we've seen from the World Cup from a rugby union perspective. This was done a lot differently. It seems like it's a really nice documentary type of vibe. It follows them through each of the sort of stages.
This is actually a rugby league, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's interesting, the commonality and also the contrast between elite match officials.
Yeah. Again, I'll share the link. It's a YouTube link. If you don't follow Keith Lewis, he sent a link through, but I can also share it as well. Very much a really nice, easy watch. And yeah, I think it sort of shows players or coaches as well what referees go through. And it's very similar to, like you said, Rob, how we prepare for matches. People sometimes think we just turn up. We just turn up on a Saturday. No preparation needed.
Well, there might be some match officials we know that do that, and they sort of like the guy from Seinfeld, just sort of skid in at the last moment. Like, I'm here.
I'm here.
But no, you're quite right.
Yeah.
So
this is like the pro one, so they're trying to show like all the testing they do and video analysis and stuff.
So shout out to Keith too, friend of the pod, and he's dropped a couple of his own pods recently. Well worth a listen. So
yeah.
Nice work.
Of course. Nice work. Oh, what's this one? This one I haven't read yet. So Ella Goldsmith, New South Wales Champion of Sports Award. She's the finalist for the Official of the Year.
She sure is.
That's so exciting. I remember voting for that, I think.
Yeah.
Is this the one through the female?
No, this is another one.
Oh, it's a different one.
Yeah, because like it's a golden year, right?
Yeah,
Ella is an absolute sweet spot. It's Stella Ella, you might say.
Oh,
so this is the New South Wales Champions of Sports Awards.
So different one from what I voted for. I'm like, this is a different vote?
Yeah, absolutely. So she's up for a gong there too. Yeah, compelling case for me. So congratulations, Ella. And we look forward to seeing how you go at the formal function in a couple of weeks' time. Don't worry, we will let you know how she goes. So
sweet.
Yeah, so she's up for that one, and as you say, the Female Athlete Project official as well. So she's in the mix there too. So every poster winner, Ella. Love your work.
Yay. And then this one just popped up on my feed as well. World Rugby team to be doing like podcast/interviews. So they have some players interviewing either match officials or other players. And Holly Wood, she's on it for talking about balancing refereeing and motherhood. So give that a listen as well, so that you can check that out on World Rugby. So yeah, it's very interesting. Part of the segment, she was talking about how she, like at 3 months, she was like, okay, I need to like take it month by month and see how long she can go for in terms of running and being in the middle as a match official. And she went up to all the way till 5 months till she could really see her bump. And then that's when she was getting like, sometimes you might get bumped while you're running and doing stuff in the middle. So then that's why she switched from being in the middle after 5 months to an assistant AR. But then she did it all the way up till she was at least 7 months. So good on her.
It's a great insight, isn't it? I think it really helps develop our female match officials to know that there's a pathway there irrespective of motherhood. And I think that's fantastic. And great example. And I think there's a couple of others on the circuit that have been through the same journey, which is awesome. And we've seen it with Amy, our very own Amy. I remember seeing her Sydney Sevens. She'd just stopped refereeing because she was heavily pregnant, so she was modding or coaching as it was then. And then she came back and went back on the circuit. So absolutely doable, and with the support from the right people, very much doable. So
It's really interesting because Holly was saying about like when you announce it. So she didn't really announce it till she had more of a visible bump. So she told the RFU maybe around she was 5 months. But yeah, it's really interesting, like you said, Rob, how there's still pathways. So if you can't be running and officiating, you can be a coach. I wonder if you could possibly be a TMO because you're sort of sat in a box. Like there's other ways of being involved in the game.
Absolutely.
As well. So that's great. Yeah, that's all the rugby news. There's quite a lot this week compared to other ones. Do you want to touch on Italy versus Australia?
There's one obvious thing to talk about in that match and one less obvious thing. I'll start with the less obvious thing first. The Australian lineup to maul try was it was quite funny. I don't know if you remember, Andy Brace was in the middle and he started running towards the posts to give a penalty try, but then he must have got a call from his AR saying they had a
that
grounding.
one. I think I watched the mini segment, so I got really confused because it looked like he was about to run and then it flipped to something else. Okay.
So yeah, it's an interesting chat around what you do in that circumstance, and he's adjusted. And from a game connection point of view, it's the right result. You award the try to the try scorer. I think they kicked the conversion. Wasn't too much of a deal, but just shows you the mindset around that. So that was the minor point. But the big talking point really was the other Australian try where there was a strip or not. And that went down to the TMO and there was lots of chat about it. And I can see how they got there. And from an Australian point of view, it was very fortunate. But I think if they'd gone the other way, we wouldn't be discussing it. So, sometimes you end up on the right side of the 50-50. Sometimes you don't. It's difficult. Strips are always difficult, and we see them adjudicated very differently game by game, even within a game, at all levels of the game, because you've got to make a judgment call.
Just like that's sort of stripping
So who's responsible for the ball coming free? Is it a bad carry? Was the tackler's hand just in there, or was it deliberate strip? And then if they did do a deliberate strip, which direction has it gone? Has it gone forward off the ball carrier, or has it gone backwards off the stripper, or has it gone forwards off the strip? So there's a whole bunch of permutations around that. In this case, they decided it was a strip backwards by the Italian player, and therefore it was play on. Probably a little bit fortunate because I think you could easily call that as a knock on out of the hands because he fumbled it and then lost it. But look, that's the nature of that sort of call. You're going to get them going both ways. I think if it had been against Australia, we'd probably be talking about it in reverse. If they called it a knock on, we wouldn't have it as a discussion point. So, it's just something to watch out for.
Difficult one. Yeah, I've been in those situations before in terms of it happens so quickly and then you need to remember, like you said, Rob, like who took it in, what direction it's going, and Yeah,
and look, I think if it happens to you as a match official, call it live. So the players know, strip, play on, or strip forward by blue or whatever your colour is, so the players know, oh, hang on a minute, there's no offensive, it's a play on. Right, shit, better get on with, or knock on advantage, stripped by green. Oh, okay, let's change them, rather than silence, because then there's that element of doubt. So just be clear, back yourself, say what you think, play on.
If you say it out loud, you might remember as well, like the whole scenario, and makes it clear to the players so that they know if they need to go back or,
Well, even if you get it wrong, you've told everyone, so you've got it right. And what was interesting in the Italy-Australia match was because it led to a try, they let it play out, then they came back and reviewed it. So that was smart work as well.
Yeah.
Rather than calling a 50-50 and going, oh, shit, we probably should have let that go. So, well done from that point of view, and they followed a process. So, and they got to the outcome they did. So, well done, guys. It's one of those ones that will go down different routes. If you did it 10 times, you'd probably go a bit of each time because it's in that grey area. You've got to take it from 50-50 to 51-49, 60-40, etc., and that's where they end up. So,
that's where they end up. There you go.
So that was Italy. Australia, pretty ordinary from Australia. We've got to do better against Ireland. Simple as that.
Got to do better.
I thought the biggest game of the weekend was, and we talked about this last week, was France, South Africa. It's,
You think that was the biggest game?
Oh, God, yeah, absolutely.
I feel that the New Zealand-Scotland one to me, felt like the biggest because it was way
there
more
you go.
entertaining.
Yeah, right.
In terms of France versus South Africa, I think it was built up to be this sort of big game, but I think in the end, the result, I thought it would be a lot closer, basically. Yeah, Gus was very busy.
He was
in the middle.
busy. Yeah, he was working really, really hard. And you could see that with his comms. I don't think I've seen him speak so much in a match ever because there was a lot going on.
Yeah, I did notice more of the match officials are doing that sort of comms, whether that's like preventative comms and also, I guess, not rewarding them, giving them feedback. Thank you. Good roll. Or like, just giving that feedback to them. Like, thank you for leaving it.
Yeah, good decision. Well done.
Yeah.
Well, we want to reinforce positive behaviour, and that applies at all levels of the game. We can do that at all levels. You and I can do that because it gives players connection with you, and they go, oh, okay, he hasn't just penalised me 10 times. He's noticed I did something good. Oh, that's nice. Okay, well done. So, it was, you look at the final score and you go, oh, gee, South Africa canned at home. They did not. It was 17-14 to France. I think that's the right score, 17-13. France were ahead until,
wasn't there a red card? And then South Africa were playing with a player down for most of the match, and they still...
Look, your timetable for the match was nuts. There was stuff happening left, right, and centre. Yes, so there was a red card, and my goodness, Ludiaga.
Yeah, very much a red card. If anyone saw that, to me personally, like he had no intent in wanting to rap or go in. He didn't bend over. He didn't make any sort of.
And that was his problem.
Yeah.
So,
like the hinging. That's the word I'm trying to look for. The hinging of
It was a really good example of process. So the team of 4 worked really hard together, and they went through their process. They worked with each other. They debated how to go about it, and they got the right result in the end because that was a full red card.
So, I mean, you didn't have to go to the bunker sort of thing.
No, they went full red on this.
Yeah.
And they went full red because there was no mitigation, and there was no mitigation because it was always illegal. So mitigation, and this is the head contact process that we have, mitigation will not apply for intentional or always illegal acts of foul play. And in their discussion, they determined that it was always illegal because of the way he led with his shoulder and had his arms back. So no wrap leading with the shoulder. And he's come in from a distance. Yes, the ball carrier has dropped, which is a mitigation, except for if it's always illegal, and they deemed it always illegal. Therefore, you start at your red, and that's where you finish.
Yeah.
So they did a great job, and wonderfully, the judiciary are aligned on this. So he got the mandatory 6-4-3. 6-4-3.
Yeah.
Starts at 6, a bit of a discount to 4, and then tackle school gets him down to 3. So he misses the rest of the autumn internationals and the first Wild Knights game if he doesn't do tackle school, but he'll do it. So
he'll do it.
And then South Africa had to adjust accordingly, and they did a really good job of it, but it took a while to get there. They finished quite strongly in the end. France sort of ran out of gas. The French bench wasn't as strong as the South African one.
Yeah, there's a yellow card as well. Deliberate knockdown. One.
LBB, and Louis Barry. So interesting, Gus Live thought that was just a knock on. So he was playing advantage for a different penalty. So he came back for that. The team of 4 had a chat about it, and then they did a formal review and looked at it and went, okay, he was never in a realistic position to catch it.
Yeah.
So then the question becomes, was there a line break? Yes, which triggers the yellow. Then they had to decide, was there a probable try? And I think there was a possible try, but not probable, so it wasn't a penalty try.
Yeah.
They certainly had an overlap, which is your line break. Would they have scored? Didn't meet the probable threshold, so they didn't do PT. And, fair enough too, so, yeah.
Good way of, following the process as well. And I think from watching it live, like it all makes sense for someone who would be in the stadium or at home understanding what's happening as well, personally.
And wasn't there some noise too? Oh my goodness. Stade de France, packed house.
Yeah.
Jeering and cheering, lots of villains. There was a lot going on. in that game. It was quite funny at one stage. About that time, the South Africans were trying to decide what to do. Do they kick to the post or do they kick to the corner? And two of their players were standing in the field debating, and they both started pointing up into the grandstand. One's going, look up there, and the other one's going, there. Did he say that? So they were looking at signals from the coaching box, trying to interpret them.
Oh,
Yeah.
good old Refty.
So
he needs to have his lights or something.
Yeah.
Like he did
So
before.
he had some sort of system up there, and player one's going, no, he didn't say that. He said this. Oh, okay. So off they went to the what seemed to be the right decision for them. So good fun. And of course, the referee chat of the week, right?
Oh my goodness. Do you want to do the captain chat now? Shall I? So
I
this is
think
like
so.
usually we do captain chat sometimes when we feel like a match official said something like great one-liners or chats to help us in our own matches. But Gus had a really great one this week. It's okay, I'll speak to these two boys who wants to get everyone away. He's like, okay, I don't need anyone else, basically. Guys, that's the second time. And then the French player, it's him. It's him.
It's him.
It's him. And then what I find is the best, there's just laughter. Yeah. So I think it goes back to like, we discussed this before, Rob, but we never really see Gus like laughing so much. But I think he broke it a little bit because I don't think he was expecting that type of response.
No.
It's him. And then after that, he said, so talking about like the pushing and shoving bases. So we had it after the try and we also had it right now. That's it. Okay. So just trying to like draw a line in it. So I think it's a great way of just taking your space, commanding your space, getting the two players in, giving them their own space to respond, which is his.
Yeah. And it was the 2 9s, of course. Of course it was the 2 9s. So I think.
Isn't he a 10, the French player?
Oh, was it a 10, was it?
10 and a 9?
Oh, yeah, you might be right. Sorry. Yes. It was 2 backs. 2 backs. Yeah.
Either way.
Yeah. And it was comic gold. And it was just a nice summary of the match. So, yeah, very funny, very off script, but it just worked, didn't it? And I think we'll see a bit of that on socials. We've already seen a bit of that on socials. I'm sure we'll see a bit more of that. Yeah, well done. And
well done.
Speaking of which, we often get lots of criticism of match officials, rightly or wrongly, after matches, but it was really interesting taking the pulse after this match. There was universal acclaim for Gussie's performance from both sides of the fence that I could see. That says a lot. South Africa won, but they had a red card, and that polarised some people, but most, including a lot of South Africans, were going, nah, that they nailed that. So that
it's
tells
really
you.
Interesting with the red card because a lot of teams feel like if they get a red card early on, that's their game done. And I think this is a showing of like being able to still be like strong, resilient, play your own game, and you're still able to win even if you have a player down.
Yeah, it took them a while.
But they got there.
And then when LBB went off with his yellow, you had 14 and 14, and that's actually when South Africa put their foot down and went bang bang.
They're like, we're the same now.
That was the game, really. They just turned the screws and off we went. So
what else do we say here? Scrum, play away. So obviously, I feel like if you're going into that game with France versus South Africa, you would know about the South African scrum dominance anyway. So then you're saying,
well,
why play away?
I would change the mindset on that. I don't think you go in with the view that South Africa have a dominant scrum. You go in with the view that let's look at the two scrums.
For penalties?
No, because France have a strong scrum as well. So you're going in knowing that you're going to have a really big scrum day because you've got two of the best scrums on the planet. And we had some situations where Gus has played away and there was some commentary around, well, why has he done that? The scrum was still moving. He's told the 9 to use it. It's a really interesting question because what does the game want? The game wants a couple of things. It wants fairness and it wants game flow. And the two don't necessarily go together. So in a scrum situation like that, you got a couple of options. You can reset. Okay, that's fair, but your game flow suffers. You can do a 50-50 penalty. Is that fair? No. Is that good for game flow? No. So you don't want to guess. You can continue despite there being possible illegality. Well, yes.
And then the next scrum, you can have a chat and be able to.
Well, the only trouble with that is, there's a team going forward and around, but why? It might not be fair to let that continue because there's some mischief. So it's not fair in continuing on. It's good for flow, though. So The other option is you tell the 9, just use it. So you get away from the ambiguity. That's fair. The ball comes out and we keep game flow. So the message there is, unless there's a clear and obvious penalty, if you can get it out, play away, that's what you want to do. It's good for game flow. There's fairness in that. And it gives you a head up for the next scrum to watch things.
Yeah.
Get your ARs involved, let the game flow, and then go for the clear and obvious.
Yeah.
Because there was lots of mischief in those scrums. So
Oh, yeah.
Both sides.
Yeah. So New Zealand, Scotland, wonderful match. Loved it. Well done to Nick Berry. I felt like, me personally watching it, I felt like that's probably the best match that I've sort of seen him officiate, but also in terms of the contest and the type of game as well. So I really feel like he's really improved. I felt like the team of 3 worked really well. I think they got all those decisions right and were able to stop the game when it was needed to be to get the right outcome. A few 50-50 calls in regards of the scrum reset, which I found quite interesting because he saw something on his side and he thought he would blow it for one team, and then the AR said something else on the other side. And so in live, it looked as though he was going to give a penalty for what he wanted to do, but then heard something contradicting himself. So yeah, I love that. Reset, guys. We both have different.
Yeah, but that was really good work because you could see he was like
which hand do I?
Like an airport plane controller, wasn't he? Because
it's like when people put out their arm for advantage and then go between advantage or wanting to do the penalty. I've seen those
there's a bit
before.
going on, right? So, but then he's just retrieved it really nicely and said, look, guys, this is what's happened. I saw one thing there, I saw the opposite. We're not going to penalise anyone. We're going to do a reset because that's the best outcome. And all the players went, okay.
Yeah, cool.
Nothing to see here. Let's go again. So
scrum again. Forwards love that.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Let's hit each other again. Sweet.
Get to hug my best mate.
Yeah, hug my best mate again. And then I wanted to bring up the first try that happened with the All Blacks. See how we can probably link it to a possible law of the week. If not, can share the details of the actual number because I didn't have time to look up where it is in the law book. So in terms of the try, it was really interesting because the player had like 1 foot back and he sort of was like just grabbed it and went. But then there was no opposing team, I guess, there, if you know what I mean. So anyway.
No, it's a very good point, Candace. And we've talked about this before, and it's an area that causes a lot of confusion for a number of different reasons because there's a lot happening in a very short space of time. Firstly, your decision tree, you got to decide whether it's a tackle or whether it's a ruck. Because if it's a tackle, you go one path. If it's a ruck, you go the other way. Mm-hmm. So at a tackle, a player can pick up the ball if 1 foot is level with or behind the ball. But at a ruck, a player can only pick up the ball if both feet are level with or behind the ball. And if they're still bound to an opponent, they can't pick up the ball. So there's a bit going on there. What I find really interesting is they've got to have a foot or 2 feet behind the ball, not behind last feet. And that's a little bit of an anomaly because we want people at breakdown, assuming there's an offside line, to be behind. We call it last feet. It may not even be last feet. It could be a head or a bum or an arm or a shoulder.
Body part.
But the most extreme point on their side, we want them behind that if they're not part of that breakdown because that's your offside line. But in this scenario, and this is the anomaly, you've only got to be behind the ball. So it looks a bit odd sometimes. And I think to exacerbate that oddness, there can be times when it's a bit loose, and particularly a community or where we don't have a TMO
like it
option.
That way. Or this
we
is
like
our
it that way. But this is Piercy's sweet spot. If Piercy was here, he'd be very excited. Even the dog would be awake about this bit. So it enables game flow, and it means your defence has got to be awake. You got to have your pillars talking to each other.
Oh my goodness, yeah. The pillars were way too focused on the 9 or the 10. They were not focused on any pick and go.
Yeah, so it brought them undone. And because it's a test match, we've got a TMO. They go back and check, and they went, yep, he's got his timing, his foot's in the right position, no bind, just bang.
Yeah. But also, Nick Berry called it in real time as well. And like from where he was standing. So he, play on.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So, absolutely nailed it. But, it's one of those things be aware of as a player at the breakdown. you've got options there if your pillars aren't paying
You
attention.
do.
And if you're a pillar, watch the ball. Watch the bloody ball, because they're not going to run without the ball. So, yeah, just game awareness. So good footy all round
Good
by everyone,
footy. I love
except the
it.
pillars.
Just want to highlight the second half of that game was absolutely buzzing. So if anyone hasn't watched it in full, you got to. The vibe and how Scotland sort of came back. I loved every moment of it.
A game of 3/3, wasn't it? 17-0, 17-all, and then, that final Superman play from Mach.
I think I've seen slow-mos of like the try-saving tackle, and bless the assistant referee having to like check the line and then.
But how did he not drop that? I mean,
who knows? There's lots.
He should be a circus performer. He'd be able to escape from anything with that sort of.
He put hairspray on his hands.
Oh my goodness!
Technique to make the ball stick.
And Scotland. Finn Russell played most of that game on one leg.
Oh my goodness, his knee. They just kept on taping it. I'm like, how much tape can you put on someone's knee? I don't know how much time they can take for taping time before it's like, are you going to stay on the field or are you going to go off now?
I would think that if it was any other player, you'd just say.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, like key decision maker of
Yeah. I think that was massive empathy from Bez, which I understand.
He had time to think, though. He was just standing there watching them tape.
Yeah.
For a few minutes.
They're calling for more tape. More tape.
More tape.
I reckon if you took the tape off at the end of the match, there'd be no leg left. So yeah.
Bless.
So Finn was on one leg and he was still going
kicking,
okay.
so
it'd be interesting to see how he scrubs up this week, because we've got the similar issue with Carter Gordon. He went off with a quad strain in the Aussie game. So interesting time for tens. There you go.
There you go. Not much to report versus Wales, Argentina, but well done to Mach for that. Wales looked like they had some life in them, which is good to see. Shall we move on to some appointments?
It's an appointment-rich week again. So we'll start firstly in Dubai, and we've had the first round of the final qualification tournament, which was held last weekend. So the second round's imminent. The second round has Belgium last start winners. They beat Namibia.
That's a surprise.
Yeah, absolutely. So they're up against Brazil. So the Battle of the Bees, and Samoa and Namibia, the Battle of the Blues. So we've got, it's an all-B week.
That'll be fantastic, those two matches.
Absolutely.
Are they on stand? I haven't seen anything.
No, I think they're Rugby Pass.
Okay, Rugby Pass,
Don't
everyone.
quote me, but as they say in the classics,
we'll check
your local guides.
Take a look. Good.
So the referee for Belgium, Brazil, and I must apologise. I've been saying his name. I've been pronouncing his name incorrectly. It's, I believe, Owen Cross, and it's spelled Eoghan. I thought it was Ian or Ian. It's apparently Owen. So Owen, my apologies. So Owen Cross is on that. Geordie Way's on the flag with Griffin Colby, not the winger, and Brett Cronin's in the box.
Oh my God,
for that.
imagine if Kobe became a referee.
Well, why not?
Why not? Would love it.
Samoa, Namibia is Damien Schneider, who we met last year here. Craig Evans, who got all the kudos for his running last week.
Oh, yes. We forgot to shout that out.
Yeah. Craig, so off the Sevens circuit, serious wheels like most of the Sevens refs have, and he was doing okay, keeping up with Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
I love
well done.
Seeing that hard work. Well done.
Yep. So that's just Dubai. And Tuesday, I think it is. Yeah, that's the final batch, and you got Geordie in the middle and Craig Evans in the middle, and that's Namibia, Brazil, which could still determine the outcome, and then Samoa, Belgium, which I think will probably be the default final. It's not set up as a final, but it will be the final, I'm guessing. And then we just go into all the other internationals, and let's just reel them off because there's plenty of them. So we'll start with Italy, South Africa in Turin. So James Dolman on the whistle, Bok, AR1, Jeremy Rosier, who's also come from Sevens. AR2, he's French. Tuo Tranini and Eric Gozon, two French match officials in front of the screens. Then England, New Zealand at Twickenham. Andrea Piatti's got that. He's got Luke Ramos and Gianluca Nechi. I hope I said that correctly. On the flags. And Marius van der Westhuizen and Mike Adamson on the screens. Georgia, Canada in Georgia. Paul Williams is on that one. Federico Vedovelli, who I think is Italian, and Filippo Russo, who's also Italian, and Aled Griffiths, who's Welsh, not surprisingly, is the teamo. No foul play review there. Romania, USA, Sam Grove White, who was on the flag last weekend somewhere. Saba Abulashvili, who is not surprisingly Georgian, and Peter Martin on flags. Ben Whitehouse is in the box there. That's in Bucharest. Then we've got Wales and Japan, which is that cusp game, 12-13. That's a really important game. So that's in the Principality Stadium. Matthew Carley's got that.
Take that off your bucket list as a referee.
Yep. Bez on the flag with Anthony Woodthorpe. Andrew Jackson and Quinton Immelman are on the screens. Then Ireland, Australia at Diaviva. Carl Dixon, Pierre Brousset, Adam Leal, Ian Tempest, and Dan Jones. So that's a massive game, as we spoke about before. Then France and Fiji in Bordeaux. This is actually, I reckon this would be great fun. I'm really looking forward to this.
That sounds like fun.
Yeah, and we're Reg 9, so the Fijians will have all their guys back, I think, from the top 14. So that'll be a doozy. That'll be an absolute doozy. Christoph's on that, so I hope he's got his wheels sorted. Nika, Emerson Kelly, Morne Ferreira, who we saw last weekend, Marius Yonka, we call him Mario, and Stuart Tahij are on the screens. But there's more. Wait, there's more. We've got Portugal and Hong Kong, China, right? And that's in Lisbon. Holly's doing that.
Yay!
Davidson, not Holly Wood, aforementioned. Ben Breakspear and Ben Connor. So any AR you like, as long as they're Ben. And Matteo Liparini on the screen there. Then we've also got, because there's not enough games, we've got Spain and England A. So Morgan White's got that. That's in Spain.
Oh, yeah. The Hong Kong referee, right?
Yep. Then we go to Scotland, Argentina, which is in Edinburgh, Murrayfield. Andy Brace is on that. Gussie is on the flag there. Luke Pearce is making an appearance. Good to see you, Luke. Ollie Hodges and Leo Colgan on the screens. And then the final match for the weekend is Uruguay against an All Blacks 15. Now, where do you think this match is going to be played? Uruguay and an All Blacks 15. Where's the logical place to play that?
In their home country, in Uruguay. Is it going to be played in, I don't know, we said Spain.
Oh, well, that was a match
different
featuring...
one. Is there another European country? Maybe Portugal? Is there another one in Lisbon?
Oh, yeah.
Am I getting close?
Well, yeah, you're in the right continent.
Oh.
And the right part of the continent. So you're getting warm. Yeah, that's going to be at Montpellier in France. Yeah.
I'll try. I'm like working my way around.
Yeah, working your way east. And the French Federation are reporting to all four of those. So that could be...
That's a great opportunity for them as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So...
Jouer.
That's our weekend of appointments at
Thanks, Rob.
Test and near test level. It's a hell of a weekend. There's just not enough hours in the day to watch all that footy, but what a good problem to have, hey? So, yeah, that's the weekend appointments, massive weekend of footy, and that's probably a wrap for us. So
stay tuned. Thank you all for listening. And you know where to find us on Play On Podcast on Instagram, and you can find us on YouTube as well. Hopefully, Piercy is feeling better and can return so you guys can chat about how your usual ending. What are you going to say to him now?
He didn't say much. His contribution was pretty ordinary, I thought. So he's got to work on that. And
do better.
I'll continue my self-flagellation.
There you go. See you next week.
Jouer.